Welcome to Insights. I'm Dick Goldberg, and our subject today is stress management. Too many of us are feeling more stress than we want to or is good for us. Today we'll explore techniques and ideas to understand, see how much stress you're under, and manage that or reduce that stress. And with me today, Patricia Clason, who is the director of the Center for Creative Learning in Milwaukee, and she's co-author with, among others, Jack Canfield and Stephen Covey of Speaking of Success. Patricia, for many years, has been a lecturer and a workshop leader in life management issues, from time management to finding your life purpose, to today's subject of stress management. Thanks for joining us, Patricia.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
What is stress?
Well, I'm actually going to redefine, in a way, the word, because it's really distress that's of concern to us. Stress, which is a friction or a tension, is necessary. It's part of life. And so it's distress that we really need to be concerned about, that we want to eliminate or lessen in our lives. And activities can be stressful without being distressful, and how we think about them and how we emotionally react to them actually determines whether or not they will be distressful.
Let me challenge you.
Go ahead.
You're driving home from work. It's an hour-and-a-half commute. Your car is junky and noisy. The road is polluted, and it's jam-packed with traffic, and your radio doesn't work. How could that not be stressful?
Well, what makes it stressful is the resistance to the condition that you're in. If I don't like where I am, and I don't want to be here, I don't like this is terrible.
You almost swore. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, well, that's what we do, right? And so that's where the stress gets created, because I'm avoiding or pushing away or pushing back at what is there. I can't change what's there in that moment. The car is the car. In that moment, that's the car I'm in, so I might as well just go, okay, so this is the car I'm in, so what do I do with this?
Okay, well, that requires a state of some enlightenment, but aren't there situations and lifestyles that just are more likely to make you feel, as you say, distress or stressed, as most people would call it, than other lifestyles? Isn't there situations that are challenges to not feeling stressed?
There are many situations in our day-to-day lives that easily push us to the point of distress.
Okay.
Jobs where the workload is really the workload of two people instead of one. I hear that happening a lot in corporate America today. Financial situations. We're in an economic time where there are still a lot of people who are financially hurting. That is a situation that can be very distressful.
Okay. So there's a new term, distressful. People are always saying, we're under too much stress. What are some of the ill effects of, can we say, being stressed versus distressful?
Sure, being stressed out.
Okay. What are the ill effects of being more stressed than you can handle, or more stressful events?
Well, it affects the physiology. Our bodies are affected by it. Different chemicals are dumped into the body that are irritants, that age us more quickly, that challenge our physical well-being, because our adrenal system is overreacting to what's going on. I mean, it's the job of the adrenal system to give us adrenaline or epinephrine to help give the body the energy it needs in a situation in which there is distress.
Okay.
And
that would be in old days like a tiger chasing you, but in our time it's like you described, a job where you have twice as much work as you can do in a day.
And all day long, sitting at the desk thinking, there's more to do than I can handle. I can't get it all done. We could sit at the same desk with the same amount of papers on it and focus on that one piece of paper we have to work on right now, with the idea that I can only do what I can do, and I'm going to do the best that I can do with what I have.
Okay, you're stressing me because we're ahead of where I want to be right now. I want to first establish the harm of being too stressed or distressed. And I'm hearing the constant chemicals going in your body when you're feeling stressed do huge damage to you physically.
They do. It's physical debilitating. Okay. Physically debilitating.
So it leads to like high blood pressure and...
I can...
You got a list for it?
I have a list here.
Okay,
you want to hear some of them?
You bet.
Teeth grinding, nail biting, and then it gets worse as we go on. Addictions, sleeplessness, heartburn, or the acid reflux, tachycardia, heart problems, migraine headaches, loss of sexual interest or pleasure.
Depression on there?
Yes.
Anxiety,
yep.
Lots
Forgetfulness, procrastination, shame, apathy, difficulty making decisions.
Enough, I'm getting stressed. Let me ask you this. How would you like to live with a person who's stressed a lot?
Oh, I wouldn't, because they're crunchy and they're crabby. And what happens is because the adrenal system gets burned out, they don't have the ability and the resourcefulness to manage, and so they're constantly in there.
So they're not present to you. They can't be there for you.
Well, they're not there in the relationship, right? They're not even present to themselves.
What do you mean?
Well, because most people that I see who are really stressed out are not paying attention to their bodies. They're ignoring them. They're overriding all the signals with caffeine, sugar, nicotine, alcohol. They're not present to themselves.
Would you be willing to lay out a formula for how to get really too stressed, all the ways you can do it to yourself, if you're really a really bad example of a sucker for stress?
Constant negative thinking, overeating, sugar, addictions to sugar, caffeine, nicotine, alcohol.
Well, are those products of stress, or are those...
They're both.
Okay.
They can be causes of stress, results of the stress.
Okay. If you want to set up a lifestyle that's stressful...
then commit to doing more than you really want to do. Say yes when you really want to say no. Okay. Don't finish anything that you start, so that everything you carry with you becomes a bag of like psychic incomplete garbage you carry around.
Disorganization help?
Oh, disorganization will definitely help, yes. I mean, don't know where anything is. Don't put anything away. Don't clean your house. Have everything all over the place. Don't take care of your car. Don't take care of your body.
How about financial management, money? How's that fit into stress?
That one too. Spend every penny that you have trying to find pleasure, and don't pay your bills, and get into debt, and use your credit card a lot, and...
Okay, I think we got it. So, stressors. There's being stressed and there's stressors. You're calling it distress when those stressors stress you, and not distress if what might stress someone else doesn't stress you. An event, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there such a thing as good stress?
Yes. Causes us to grow. It gives us, it stretches us in a sense. So I'm on a limited budget and the car breaks down, and I need to fix the car. So I can either go into, oh, poor woe is me, victim, complain, drive the car till it truly falls apart, and then I don't have any car at all. Or I can say, oh, wow, this is an interesting opportunity for me to figure out how to get this car fixed, and how to create the money for it, or how to barter for it, or what can I do to solve this problem in a new and creative way.
Okay.
That's a stretch. That's not stressful in the classic sense of talking about stress.
Well, I'm seeing two alleys here. One is the events that are happening to you, and can you alter those so that you don't have the stressors, and the other is your internal reaction to events.
Your thoughts and emotions about it, yes.
That's mainly what I'm hearing from you, is your thoughts and emotions, not changing your reality, but changing your thoughts and emotions.
Because many times we don't have the ability to instantaneously change our reality. I mean, I went through a time in my life where I had a family member that committed suicide, all within 18 months. A family member that committed suicide. I had a divorce, and I bought an office building that turned out to have underground heating oil tanks that
That's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's a real bad thing.
Yeah.
So all that stuff was going on, and I didn't get crazy distressed. And the reason was that I didn't go into all the negative thinking, the repetitive negative thinking, and feeling like the victim, like there wasn't anything I could do about any of it.
As usual, I want to challenge you on this, because there is a list of the most stressful events in life.
Mm-hmm.
I've forgotten the order, but among them is getting a divorce, a death of a spouse, a serious illness, losing a job, blah, blah, blah. Are you suggesting that you could suffer 3 or 4 of these and not have distress?
Yes, I am.
Come on.
I am. And I'm not saying that you wouldn't have moments of distress, but you wouldn't get what they call it's possible to avoid what they call burnout, or that stressed out state, in all of that, if one takes care of oneself.
For people to understand this, do you think it's better for me to give you examples or for you to lay out principles of how you do this?
Well, the examples are actually fairly simple.
Okay. Let's take an example of a life where you were running a business and it's not working, and you have a lot of debt and you're not going to make it, and your spouse is leaving you because you're a failure. They married you because they thought you'd be successful. Now you're finding out their true colors. How do you handle that without losing sleep? Without having your heart not be as good as it was and your health?
Well, you may still go through moments of that, not sleeping and having distress. I'm not saying you wouldn't have any distress at all, but you don't get to the point of burnout if you pay attention to what you're thinking and feeling and how you're working with the situation. So my business is falling apart. It looks like it's going to fail. Oh, well, that might mean I have to file bankruptcy. Okay, well, that could be an opportunity to start over again. Is this going to be a failure, or am I going to look at this situation as I've really learned a lot? It's been one heck of an expensive lesson, but I've really learned a lot what not to do next time around.
Now, what percentage of people who go through personal bankruptcy and had a business do you think don't get distressed by that experience?
I think they all do, because there's so many judgments about that we put on ourselves. We shame ourselves, make ourselves bad and wrong about it, call ourselves a failure, and beat ourselves up with the whole thing. And the more we do that, the more the body becomes stressed out, the more ill we become.
Yes.
The iller the body is that a word, iller? The sicker the body is.
I know what you mean. I don't think it is, but okay.
The sicker the body is, the harder it is for the brain to function well. Yeah. And the other thing that people do is, the person who's lost the business and having financial problems and the spouse is leaving probably feels sad, scared, and angry.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, if they feel those feelings, allow themselves to be with those feelings, own them and say, yeah, I'm really angry. When I found out about that whole business thing, this is really interesting.
The tanks.
Yeah, the building and the underground heating unit tanks. I was at a hotel for a conference, and they were replacing the floor, and there was somebody there who was hitting the floor with a mallet to crack it up. It was some kind of tile. I said, can I do that? Mm-hmm. And he looked at me, and I said, well, I got some anger I'd like to get rid of, and that'd be a great way to do it. And he said, well, I really shouldn't do that, but if you wear the goggles, I'll watch, and nobody shows up, I'll let you do it for a little while. It felt so good to imagine the seller's face, the person I bought the building from, on the floor and whacking that thing and watching it break. It felt so good. And afterwards, it's like, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah.
Because we moved it through instead of sitting in it and wallowing in it and obsessing about it, which has a...
Do you have to... situation like that, you have to get your anger out? Because there's also talk in the psychology community that anger begets more anger.
I think it depends on how you're getting the anger out and what you're doing with it. I do understand that for some people that may be true, and at a far end of the extreme with people with certain personality disorders and issues in life, anger allows them to explode more. I don't want to go into that piece too deeply, but generally speaking, the folks at 6seconds.org, one of the emotional intelligence organizations, tell us that in their research they found that the average emotion lasts 6 seconds to about 90 seconds, depending on the emotion and what's going on. So if you just really are just letting it flow and letting it out, and then feeling the release afterwards and the relief of having it out, there's no reason for it to have to continue.
Okay, so it couldn't be this simple. What I'm hearing you say is, okay, if you have all this distress, all you have to do to not get sick, have it really hurt you too badly, is express your feelings, get them out.
Well, that's one piece. That's
Okay.
not all.
Good.
But it is one important piece of it.
Right.
The self-care
Okay.
is important. If I'm in a life that requires a lot of high energy expenditure because I'm doing two people's jobs at work,
Yeah.
then I need to do things to make sure I have energy in order to do that, or quit the job. But if I stay in the job,
a lot of people are going to say, I can't quit the job, I got to eat.
they will. And if they stay there, they have two choices to make. If I stay there and I'm upset about it and angry about it and resentful about it every single day, I will be stressed out and miserable, and I'll get sick and
Okay.
all that. Or I can choose to stay in the job and say, how can I contribute here? How am I valuable here? What can I do? What can I accomplish? Do that and feel good about what they do.
And your boss comes in and says, is this all you've done today? And you've done a lot of work.
I
How do you
did
handle
my
that?
very best.
How do you not get your blood pressure boiling when the boss says that after you work so
Breathe. Truly, they found that a good full breath is really calming and relaxing, and what most of us do when we feel the boss coming in to find what did you get done today is we hold our breath and we get emotionally little, we get scared, and then that activates again the adrenal glands, and that whole system, the fight, flight, or freeze thing gets activated, and that creates more distress within the body.
Sure.
So, if I'm going to choose to stay in a job where I can't possibly do everything that's being asked of me, I have to reconcile for me that I'm going to do the very best I can.
Okay. What do you think are some of the leading stressors people have to deal with every day that do distress them?
The speed of change, or the speed of the world around us, in the sense of we're being asked to do more faster. All the information on the internet is overwhelming to many people because we can't keep up with how quickly information technology is changing and being available to us, and so that can easily be very overwhelming for a lot of people. Economics is another issue that's overwhelming for people. Even people who find themselves feeling somewhat financially stable are still concerned because of the global economic outlook that we're in today. People get hijacked by those kinds of conditions.
And they get anxious?
Anxious. The little
Right.
reptilian brain goes, oh no, danger, danger, danger.
Right.
And today, people are hijacked roughly 50 times a day. 100 years ago, they estimate that a person was hijacked 3 to 5 times a day.
Define hijack?
Where the reptilian brain puts us into fight, flight, or fear response.
And so what do we do
Small
about this?
or large amount. We have to notice what it is that's going on around us, what we're reacting to. Breathe. Again, breathe, breathe, breathe. Breathe and get present to what's going on. Do a reality check. Am I really in danger right now? A lot of times we think we're in danger when we're really not.
Okay.
And so clarifying that, in this moment, in the here and now, I'm safe. Okay, so now what do I need to do next to take care of whatever's happening around me, whether it's the traffic jam or the angry boss or the state of my checkbook. I think relationships are another thing that really have people very stressed out today, because we have this demand on us as a result of things like Facebook and Twitter and all the communication things. There's a certain demand going on about relationship, and it's really pretty amorphous still, and yet people have this feeling, this is what I'm hearing anyway, like I'm supposed to participate, I'm supposed to have this, I'm supposed to have that. And when they can't meet that,
do you mean have lots
demand,
of friends and lots of intimate or close relationships?
or just communicating more than maybe they feel comfortable communicating?
Yeah.
The text that says respond, 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 because we keep getting them.
Isn't this a matter of time management and priorities versus breathing?
Well, in my opinion, it's always two things. It's our thought about it and it's how we feel about it.
Okay.
So the thought about it is where the time management comes in, and how do we frame it, and how do we look at it, and what do we want to think or believe about it. And then the emotions, how do we feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to go in the direction of emotions, sad, scared, angry, that are going to have us be not peaceful and worried and always on edge? Or are we going to go in a direction of the more peaceful state, the calmer emotional state of, well, I can only do what I can do, and I can only do what I can do next or do now?
Okay. What I'm hearing is change what you think and feel about something versus change something. Change the reality. Change your life.
If you're able to do that change, that's great. Remember, we talked at the beginning about the person who says, I have this job and I have all these conditions around this job, but I don't feel like I can leave this job because I need a paycheck. And the world out there is too tenuous, and so I don't want to go out into that world right now looking for a new job.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping that in mind. If a person feels like they can change the circumstances, if they can leave the job and not create even more distress on themselves because now they don't have any income, then
Great.
By all means, change some of your physical environment to make it more peaceful, more supportive.
Is your intuition the reason that people have high levels of distress, or too much, they're stressed out too much, is because is it how they react to the reality around them, or is it because they've set themselves up in lives that are just overwhelmingly stressful with all the things that they're demanded of?
I think it's all that, honestly. I think that we set our lives up to demand a lot of us, generally speaking, in the world today. We don't believe we have the power to shift and change things that are happening around us, and so we tend to feel helpless about it.
Okay. And the perfect model of the most together person in this framework you can think of is stressed, de-stressed. How do they approach the whole picture of stress then? How do they manage their life differently than someone who just lives in stress all the time and distress?
As I observe the people I know who live that way,
well, the
people who are in that positive place, is they look at life as an opportunity. They don't resist whatever it is that comes to them, whatever happens in the world around them. It's like, okay, this has happened, now what do I do with this? Mm-hmm. As opposed to wishing it hadn't happened or obsessing about it. So they're very much in that flow of the process of life, and they have a mental attitude that looks for, I don't want to just say the positive, but it's more around that idea of the lack of resistance to what is, because I can look at something that a lot of people would call negative, mm-hmm. and still go with it and experience it and not have to stress myself out about it.
And on the other side, in terms of life management, how many people are suffering from stressed or being distressed because they manage their life poorly?
A lot. We are taught in many ways to be reactive to our world instead of acting upon our world. So I think that there's a huge number of people out there, I would say it's a pretty high number, mm-hmm. pretty high percentage of people, who simply go through life reacting to the world around them. So they don't plan, they're not proactive. And, the world around us will beat us down very easily, very fast.
Why do you say that?
Because there's so much out there. There's more out there than we can.
So they bite off more than they can chew? People take on too much? They don't say no? Or what are they doing?
Well, it's all of those things, plus it's just simply the state of the world today. We have the information and technology that we have has gone way beyond anything humankind has ever known before.
It makes my life easier, though. I can look something up in a second instead of going to the library.
Well, yeah, that's a great way to look at it. But then there's other people who think, oh, but I haven't read this email, and I haven't read that email, and I've got to get this, and I've got to do that, and there's more there than I can handle, and the next thing you know, they're...
Yeah. Okay. And to them you say?
Empty your inbox, start over. Just delete if you don't have time. Just delete. You don't have to read everything that comes through. You don't have to react to everything. There will always be, in the world that we live in today, more choices and more opportunities than any one person can ever do in a lifetime. And we're often set up to think it should be a particular way. I mean, if you look at primetime TV and the lives that many of the people in primetime TV live, how they have these great houses, these big fancy houses or apartments, and you don't see them go to work very often,
right.
and they've got all these wonderful things, and isn't that how life is supposed to be? And my life isn't that way. Therefore, there's something wrong with me. The spiral just goes down.
Versus maybe wanting what you have? Wanting
what you have, and choosing a reasonable something to strive for doing.
Not setting your goals too high.
Absolutely.
Beyond attainability.
Mm-hmm.
Being realistic. So it's a whole process. I'm hearing looking at your life and being realistic, planning your life, managing your time, and then mentally dealing with the stresses that are there in your life while they're there in a more peaceful way.
Yes. You got it.
I got it.
No wonder you have no stress.
None. Patricia Clason, thanks very much for joining us, and I hope you'll join us on the next edition of Insights.